The Lonely Road, a haunting night drive story by Spine Shiver Productions. As I sat behind the wheel, the rhythmic hum of the engine was the only sound piercing through the eerie silence of the night. The road stretched out before me like a black ribbon, disappearing into the darkness ahead. I glanced at the clock on the dashboard. It read 2:37 a.m. I cursed myself for working late again, but there was no avoiding it this time. The presentation had to be perfect. I gripped the steering wheel tighter, feeling a shiver crawl down my spine. Something about driving alone at night always made me uneasy, especially on this desolate stretch of highway. The streetlights were few and far between, casting long shadows that seemed to dance along the edges of my vision. My tired eyes strained to stay open as I pressed on, the monotony of the road lulling me into a trance-like state. Suddenly, a figure darted across the road in front of me, causing me to slam on the brakes. My heart leaped into my throat as I realized I had almost hit someone, or something. I peered through the windshield, but the darkness swallowed whatever had crossed my path. My hands trembled as I shifted the car into park and stepped out onto the deserted highway. The air was thick with an unsettling stillness, broken only by the distant chirping of crickets. "Hello?" I called out, my voice echoing into the void. There was no response, only the eerie silence that seemed to press in on me from all sides. I shook my head, chiding myself for letting my imagination run wild. I climbed back into the car and resumed my journey, but the encounter had shaken me to the core. Every shadow seemed to morph into sinister shapes, and every rustle of the wind sounded like a whisper in my ear. Minutes turned into hours as I drove on, the darkness outside seemingly endless. Just when I thought I couldn't take it anymore, a faint glow appeared on the horizon, a sign of civilization at last. I breathed a sigh of relief, grateful to be nearing home, but as I drew closer, I realized something was terribly wrong. The streets were deserted, the windows of the houses dark and empty. Panic clawed at my chest as I realized I didn't recognize a single landmark. How had I gotten so lost? I turned down one unfamiliar street after another, each one more desolate than the last. It was as if I had stumbled into some abandoned ghost town, frozen in time and forgotten by the world, and then, out of the corner of my eye, I saw it, a figure standing on the side of the road, bathed in the sickly glow at sides, and then, out of the corner of my eye, I saw it, a figure standing on the side of the road, bathed in the sickly glow of a flickering street lamp. My blood turned to ice as I recognized the same silhouette from earlier, the one I had almost hit. Without thinking, I slammed on the brakes and leaped out of the car, my heart pounding in my chest. But when I reached the spot where the figure had been standing, there was nothing there, only empty darkness staring back at me. A chill ran down my spine as I realized I was not alone. Shadows seemed to move in the corners of my vision, whispering secrets I could not comprehend. I stumbled backward, my mind reeling with fear and confusion. And then, from out of the darkness they emerged. Figures shrouded in tattered rags, their faces twisted into grotesque masks of agony. They surrounded me, their bony fingers reaching out to touch me, to pull me into their world of eternal night. I screamed, but my voice was lost in the void. There was no escape, no hope of salvation. I was trapped in a nightmare of my own making, doomed to wander these haunted streets for all eternity. And as the darkness consumed me, I knew that I would never find my way home again.